The Real Estate Photography Podcast is brought to you by tourbuzz.net, high-definition virtual tour and photograph hosting, now with interactive floor plans. Sign up for your free trial today. Hello and welcome to the Real Estate Photography Podcast with Mike Muriello. This is an interview with Las Vegas Pics, featuring Paul Sahaki and Miranda Sahaki. Hi, Paul and Miranda. Welcome.
Hello.
Hi, Mike.
How's it going?
Pretty good.
Times could be better.
Well, we're starting off on the right foot.
There you go.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, so full disclosure, audience, I am related to these people. Coincidentally, I haven't... first off, Miranda goes by the name of Ra, so you'll probably hear me say Ra every once in a while. I've never met Paul, but Miranda and I are cousins, and we haven't seen each other, what, Miranda, like 10 years? 10 plus years?
Oh, longer than that. It's got to be going on 15 to tell you the truth.
It's been a long time. It's been a very long time. And I heard through the grapevine and something kicked in that Paul and Miranda did architectural photography, and I heard that a while ago, and it kicked in, and I thought, hey, I should give him a call. So, and here we are. This is how we got hooked up. And
Yep.
and they do great work, by the way. Yeah.
Oh, thank you. Well, we've seen your work. You do great work, too.
Oh, thanks. All right. So anyway, Las Vegas Pics, Paul and Ra. Tell us a little about yourself and how you found yourself in architectural photography.
Back in the mid-'90s, I started... Well, I was a mechanic, but I was really into photography.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, long story short, ended up quitting being a mechanic, went to college for computer graphic arts, using my military schooling grant money, and then I happened to meet some commercial photographers that happened to be shooting for the college I was going to, and they said, "Oh, we use assistants, blah blah blah." Anyways, so started working with them as an assistant, found out how great the money was, and then after a year and a half of working with them and getting the ropes of architectural photography, because that's mainly what they did, and so in about '99, kind of started my own business.
Great.
Yeah. Just it was $8 an hour, and I couldn't survive on $8 an hour. So
Oh, man.
so I just up and quit and started my own company.
That's great. That's really, really great. Did you find yourself having any initial challenges, or like what kind of support did you have?
Zero. I had two roommates at the time, and they were helping me pay for the house payment. And then I worked at Pizza Hut as a driver.
At night to cover the bills in
Yeah.
the meantime,
So, and then I had some other photographers I was assisting on the side occasionally.
which helped fund greatly.
Yep. And then I just started doing cold calls to magazines and stuff, and art, real estate stuff, and landed a gig working with this one magazine. It was real low paying, but did that for a long time, about a year and a half, working for dirt. But they sent me a lot of work, so got to learn a lot working on my own through them.
That's right. That's right.
So paid the price, poor for many years.
Hey, that's I respect that. I mean, you got to start. You got a lot of experience from what you're saying, and it was pretty good, though, right?
Oh yeah, well I was shooting film back then.
4x5.
We were shooting 4x5 in medium format.
Film. What's film? I don't.
Yeah.
I'm a
Well, that's
good
how I learned. I'm, darkroom. I know everything about darkrooms from all sizes of film: color, black and white, Cibachrome. I can process E6, C41, all that. So I'm a little rusty now.
Are these planes you're naming, or like?
Yeah.
I don't.
No, they're all chemical processes.
Okay. Oh gosh. Yeah. Well, it just goes to show how young I am. I don't know any of this stuff.
Yeah, so a lot of darkroom stuff, and then, well, in the old days, we used to shoot the film, and then we'd scan it and give it to them on CD, and they'd put it in their magazines or on their websites, which was all just coming out. It was all new. So then we got a digital camera, 3 megapixel, and just grew from there, and then got a cheap, a free copy of Photoshop back then. Disclaimer: I actually paid for it directly through Photoshop, but no. It was on diskettes. I had 10 diskettes.
Oh my gosh. Oh man. I was like 10 when there were diskettes.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
It was like Photoshop 3, I think, or 2.
oh,
I don't
man.
know.
You know what's so funny about that is that version of Photoshop had nearly all the same tools as the one that's out there today. Still costs $700.
I know, it's
Yeah.
crazy, isn't it? It's absolutely crazy.
Yeah.
But if you have to pay for it, it's the one time. It's worth it if you use it for 10 years.
Right. You were mentioning something about other people's websites, and I wanted to kind of branch off of that and ask you about yours. Could you talk to us a little bit about your website and kind of how it plays into your business?
Well, it's mostly just a portfolio of our work. So if we give a card to someone, they can look at our work.
Mm-hmm.
And then for the occasional person that finds it on the internet, I guess looking for photographer, it could work. But I don't think we're real high in the search engines because we used a lot of Flash.
Mm-hmm.
And we have keywords and stuff in there, but I don't think it does as good as a conventional website made of HTML and, the code type websites where they're not.
I think he means for
In Flash.
business promotion, though. Promotionally wise, I don't think we've really used the website as a big tool in gaining business. I mean, most of our larger clientele,
Yeah, it's
it
word
was
of mouth.
word of mouth. It was cold calling. It was just going out there and meeting the people. And, even if you had to sacrifice a little bit and say, oh, you know what, let me do one of these rooms on spec in order to show you what I'm capable of doing, So I think the website, basically is more of an online portfolio than anything.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And that's what I was. We were talking about this the other day, and you were talking about how word of mouth is really important in your business, and that the website is kind of part of the business. How do I say this? It's part of your identity. It isn't your identity, though.
Absolutely, because you see a lot of photographers, they get really caught up and lost in the imagery of the website, and it's something that they really make complex and complicated, and it to some degree from our viewpoint, I think it deters a lot of people because one, it makes you look exorbitantly expensive. Two, it's extremely cluttered, and it creates confusion.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people want a very basic, simple thing when it comes to photography, and they want to know that you're going to create a good quality product in the end, and they don't want to see the dog and pony. It's where word of mouth is really, really more important on that spectrum. And when people oversaturate their websites, I think they're putting too much out there about themselves. It's almost like an insecurity.
Yeah, we just kind of keep it simple. It's photos do the talking, and there's a link. There's information like our mailing address and the phone number and email, and that's about it. No pricing.
No pricing. Right.
No,
That
so variable and complex with the architecture, at least for us, It depends who you're working with too,
No, exactly. I was about to say that sort of thing too. I personally don't do that. I don't do that either.
Yeah, I don't think most people do. And then also, I actually did used to have pricing, and I had photographers attacking me through email and stuff because I was doing work as good as them or better for 25% of the cost, and our cost was way too low.
Mm-hmm.
So during the boom times, we should have raised our prices more. But I was happy with the price we were getting, and the customers were getting a quality of work that they were more than happy with. So I had lots of business.
And that's what falls in the lap of word of mouth too, is also understanding scalping your client base. If you maintain an honest rate with them, they'll stick with you for a long time.
Right.
Like the first magazine we got started with, Metropolitan Magazine, we worked with them for 8 years straight.
No, it was about 5 or 6 years, and then we worked with the realtor that we met through there, a broker, and he sent us he was actually giving us so at times 50% of our work was just through one broker, and then the other, after a while, it was like 20% of the work was through him.
But what I'm
it was
trying
still
to
a huge
establish
quantity of
was
work.
because we didn't take advantage of those times and scalp the clientele. our name got passed along as people that deliver quality work and that aren't interested in, I'm an artist, let me bend you over.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
You know?
I think what you're saying also goes to show that how important establishing and maintaining a single relationship, how far that can go.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Definitely. All right. Okay.
It's hard to keep those connections going too, believe it or not. After more than 5 or 10 years, sometimes just stuff happens and falls apart.
Okay. So we've talked about business, and we'll talk about business maybe a little bit later. It might come back up, but I wanted to get to the good stuff. Since I'm sure the viewers have already started scouring your website and gawking and saying, "Oh my gosh, this is amazing." Let's just get on to lighting and Photoshop and post-processing and all that nice stuff. And then we'll talk about a few photos that you won't see on our website. So first, lighting. How would you describe your style of lighting?
I can't describe it as a style, but I can say for our night dusk architectural stuff, we use a lot of tungsten lights.
Okay.
Fresnel's and Home Depot's lights and clamp lights and spotlights and pin spots, and so I probably am a little overkill, but sometimes we've used up to 75 lights for one house. Usually it's a pretty big one, like 15,000 square footer.
Mm-hmm.
But and just try to light up areas so things aren't pitch black, to show all the features, because this has mostly been for real estate, so they want to show all the features. They don't want it.
With
they want
ambient light, they don't want it to be romantic. They want to showcase everything the house has to offer.
Mm-hmm.
So you're stuck in between where you want to give it ambience, and you can't blast it with light either. So you have to find a happy medium.
Yeah, it wasn't an art. Most of these aren't art shoots. We're doing them for a basic function of showing the house at dusk that looks cool, but yet you can see everything, and there's no blowouts. So most photos you won't see anything exploding bright or pitch black. So medium tone photographer lighting, I don't know.
Medium tone, and you're basically saying that this has been dictated to you. This is the style that's preferred.
Yeah, it just so happens after doing work, and experimenting, that's what most people wanted, and we just kept doing that. And if you change on them, they weren't too happy sometimes. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're saying lots of lights.
Lots.
Yeah, well,
lights.
Unfortunately, yeah, we started going a little bonsai. Yeah.
So that kind of describes how you'd light a typical exterior. Maybe it also describes interior, but more specifically, is that the same kind of style, interior wise?
Yeah, I would say so. I just spotlight the plants and give some crisscross lighting, and maybe use a bounce if I have to with the tungsten.
Actually, in rooms though, we do try to light for shadow detail.
Mm-hmm.
When he was saying up under a plant, it's always more dramatic when you have something, because say the ceiling, it's a very large blank area. So we'll concentrate lighting to where it lights the room, but it also casts shadow detail on the ceiling, so it's not so bland.
Okay.
So it gives it a little bit of dramatic.
Yeah, well, This is an outside picture we're talking about first, right?
Yeah, we'll get to it.
Okay.
Do you want to start with it now, real quick?
Yeah, probably better, because I don't go by styles. I wouldn't say I have. My style is just, everyone has such different styles. I don't think you can put them in a box.
But I don't think he's looking for a style. I think what he wants to see is, like, we're looking at this photo. What did you do to it? You had to light up and highlight all these trees. The reason we use so many lighting is because all of this is detailed to the house.
Yeah.
Okay.
All of it is representative to the
Well,
picture.
unfortunately, a lot of times we shoot, and then you get one shot, and at dusk, and then the rest is pitch black.
Yeah.
So that's why we use a lot of lights too.
Okay. All right. So I've pulled up the photo, the first one, the exterior, and so now we.
Yeah, and it's an okay one. It's not one of my favorites. Miranda just pulled it up. I did it for a broker.
Stop being so modest.
No. I don't like this image. It's overly lit and over bright. And actually, Jason photoshopped the front image, which you haven't seen.
Okay.
And it came out much better in the magazine.
Okay.
So this one was just too bright and needed more contrast, and the medium tones need to be brought down. But disregarding all of that, it came out pretty good. It's just one of many. I gave to him with like 4 different skies.
Oh, okay, yeah. So that's what I was about to ask you next, in regards to Photoshop and skies and the pools and different reflections. Just walk us through this photo and in regards to Photoshop. Just say top to bottom, left to right. You call the shots.
Oh boy. Well, no, hang on. There's probably, I'm gonna guess about hour and a half photoshopping into the. They end up getting, let's say, 4 images out of this.
Okay.
4 different skies.
Okay.
So then
So they love the choices.
well, it's the top of the photo, that sky you see is layered in there. That's not an original sky.
Okay.
It was pitch black out.
It's pitch black. So we have to, of course, cut out around the house and all those plants and drop it in,
Right.
which is tricky in itself because
Well, this
it
one
could
wasn't
look
bad.
fake really
'Cause
quickly.
a lot of straight lines on the roof, but the tree line along the right, and since even this photo, we've learned a lot to make the tree lines more realistic instead of hand cutting them out with the selection tool.
Right.
Yeah, because what we'll do is we'll take a photo original, and then we'll duplicate it in Photoshop in the layers. We'll make a duplicate layer, and then we'll throw out the background image. So now if we delete like sky, you get that checkerboard
That's
pattern.
right. That's right.
See-through, Photoshop.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then so once we cut out the sky using a selection tool at like 1 or 2 pixels,
Okay.
the polygon lasso.
Yeah. So you're doing tiny little pieces at a time.
Well, some areas, but like this chimney and stuff. But we'll zoom in to like a quarter of the picture or a little tighter, and then just draw. Yeah, click and then make a straight line, and then click again with the polygon lasso. And
Well, if you look at this
Delete
exterior,
areas.
you can see the fencing. Like you have to cut out in between the fencing posts.
yeah, we cut all that out. And that way,
Yeah.
when we drop in a sky, we'll save it as a JPEG called number 1 or whatever, and then we'll put the next sky layer in there and save it as JPEG 2.
Okay.
But anyways, getting back to the lighting, like surrounding this place had a pools on both sides, and there was only like a 2-foot section to put lights on out of the frame.
Uh-huh.
So we had lights on stands, clusters, and we were running cords all over the place. And if they're visible and we can't hide them real well, we just Photoshop them out using the clone tool.
Gotcha. You're not afraid to keep a cord going.
No,
Yeah.
as long as it's not through something super complicated. Like you could run one right through the middle of this frame and you wouldn't even know it was there after
Actually,
Photoshop.
I think there was one there.
Yeah, there may
There
have
was
been
one on either side of the patio. There was actually a visible light and an extension cord running across the
Yeah,
patio.
and we got lights hiding behind some of those pillars to light the outdoor lighting, the
Right.
seats, and if you basically, when I shoot an image, if you squint your eyes when you're out there looking at the lighting you're doing, it pretty much duplicates what the camera sees. You squint your eyes to where you can't even keep them open,
Okay.
because the cameras are 10 times more contrasty than your eyes. So it gives you a great way to visualize without even taking and then if you take a test frame, it's digital, you can do it all day long. Then you can see where your lighting might be needed. And trees and dark browns and stuff, they need a lot of light. Whereas like whites, you almost don't even need to light some stuff, or just put a generic wide light on a big area that's light.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, what about the pool? That pool looks. I just want to take a dive in there right now. It's beautiful.
Oh, yeah, it was actually really green and
Oh no.
a little dirty,
murky
too.
and dirty and plants and leaves. So I had to click all those out, and then I selected the pool, and I altered the hue saturation probably on the yellows and on the cyans, and you can alter them and make them more blue and stuff like that. But
Plus the added reflections in the left or the right side pool. You can see there's a gazebo and you can see the plants. We usually throw a reflection of the image in there just to make it more realistic.
because I don't know if it was windy that day or not, but reflection might even be real. I don't know. We do so many images; it's hard to remember this stuff.
Yeah, no, I totally understand. I'm glad we're going through all this because I should let you know the last interview we did was with Scott Hargis, and it's these are neither right nor wrong techniques. His style, he's more of do it in the camera, spend as little time behind the screen or at the computer as possible for him. That's how it was, and I'm glad that we're getting a little bit different of a take for you. This is a necessary tool.
Well,
Absolutely,
we do
yes.
most we can do in the camera, but a lot of times we can't spend 3 weeks at these houses. We got flowers.
Yeah.
So we do what we can do, wet it down for real. If it'll help. Sometimes it's pavements, it doesn't even make a difference. You can't see it soaks in so fast because it's brick or something.
Okay.
And then we don't bother wetting it, but this was a sealed stamped concrete, so it looks a lot nicer when you wet them down. But then you can track dirt in the house, so you got to be careful, or if they're paying you enough, you don't wet it down.
No, it's good to always think about logistic stuff like that. That's very important. All right, so is there anything else you wanted to say about this one before we went on to the interior stuff?
Outside of the fire and the pot.
Oh, like certain stuff like trees, no matter what you do and you don't have enough lighting with you, they still might come out too dark for let's say the original image that you like the best overall. The trees might be still way too dark.
Okay.
Even though you blasted them with light. So we might we'll take different exposures of brightness and then use a selection tool and grab the dark areas that are now brighter, and we'll copy and paste those brighter trees in there.
Okay.
Like maybe using a feather of like 20 pixels, stuff like that, and just paste them over.
No, I totally understand what you're talking about.
Yeah, so, you got to do what you got to do, whatever.
Yeah.
The same with blowout windows. Sometimes you can't control and you don't have enough assistance to turn off a light or something and flip it on and off while you're shooting.
Uh-huh.
And the one room might be exploding bright with your overall exposure. You might just have to take a darker image and paste that window frame in. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No,
so there's a lot of layers and stuff like that. Yeah, anyway, usually there's anywhere from 5 to 25 layers with any of our images.
All right, let's go ahead and head on to the next shot, which is an interior shot of a bathroom.
Yeah, that one's a nice one.
Yeah, I think it's beautiful. I was, my so I'll just say my initial impressions, and then I'll back out, and I'll just let you talk about it all you want. My initial impressions are, wow on the reflections. I should say the lack of reflections, because I can imagine lighting this monster and just kind of worrying about this, and bathrooms do always pose that challenge of glare, reflection, all these sorts of different technical issues that whatever information you can pass on, I'm sure is going to be very valuable.
Yep, there's a lot of mirrors in here. This one wasn't super bad, though, because it was so big.
Mm-hmm.
Most are smaller, so you got no room to work. Yeah, like this one, like where the shower is, it's like a clear glass on both sides.
Mm-hmm.
And then, so we had lights hidden behind that where it's not see-through.
Okay.
Hitting those cabinets, but we put them at a sharp angle, because if you just shoot right at them, they're flat.
Mm-hmm.
Wood cabinets got a lot of carving into them, like half-inch grooves and stuff, so we just light them at a steep angle, so they got a lot of shadow and depth. And then sometimes you do have to worry about reflections, but you just move the light back as far as you can, so it's out of the reflection you can't see. Like there's probably a huge reflection, but you just can't see it because the shower's hiding it.
Okay.
Those back cabinets, and there were some colorful flowers that were in another room we put there because it was just all yellowy tans.
We do stage the interior with whatever decorations we can find in the house. Like this bathroom, for instance, it was completely blank. So we do scurry around the house and find what we can and stage it to make it more livable looking, like it's somebody's actually living in it,
Oh,
Yeah.
totally. Staging is half the battle. Just the half the battle that's often not fought. To be honest with you. Yeah.
You want to leave a dirty toothbrush and a bunch of soap in the shower area. You got to get that out of there.
Right. It's got to be very very presentable.
Yeah, I think we probably used probably at least a dozen lights, mostly little 50 watt or even regular halogen 100 watt light
something
bulbs.
in the stall. Cause look at that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see it.
And then the tricky part is too. You see the windows? It was pitch black out. It was like 10 o'clock at night. We already did the outside, so we selected those window frames on the right, and then I paste into or make a new layer, and I'll screen in I'll use under layers. I'll use screen, and I'll paste in a stock shot of like a dusky sky.
Okay. Okay.
And if you use the screen, if you screen it in there using the layer technique, it's called screen.
Yeah.
You know how all those layers.
Yeah.
names.
Yeah.
Well, your reflections in the window, like, because windows always have some kind of reflection of the room.
Right.
Those will stay there.
That's a really good tip. I wanted to thank you for mentioning that. When you mentioned screen, I thought, oh, he's going to talk about the reflections, and I was really glad you did.
Yeah, and then I reversed that stock shot for the mirror reflection windows. That you can't forget the reflection on the left.
Of course.
There was windows, so we had to cut all those out. And a lot of times I'll select the window openings real close with like a 1 pixel at a feather on a polygon lasso.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'll select inverse, right?
Right.
And I'll save that selection. Then I'll deselect. Then I'll paste in my stock shot and kind of resize it in over some windows.
Mm-hmm.
Then I'll go to layers, hit screen. Then I'll reload my selection, and then it's already inverted. So when I hit delete, the windows are cut out and they're right where they should be. And then when you flatten it out and save it, you're done.
It sounds complicated at first because all the different steps that are involved, but I follow each one of the steps you were talking about, and it all adds up to me. I'm just going from one to the next, the next, the next, and then that makes sense. But it's kind of like an algebra problem. You know, it looks complicated at first glance, but once you get the hang of it, you can do it in your sleep.
Yeah, you would think it's easy. I've told this one guy, photographer, he's been doing this stuff for 20 years. I told him at least 10 different times how to do it, and he just cannot figure it out or remember. It's bad.
You're gonna have to create an action for him to do that. So.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else you want to talk about with this bath here? Anything else?
Oh, it's got tungsten.
Oh, okay. So you match the tungsten lights.
Yeah, and the camera, you just go to the little light bulb setting, the tungsten setting, and then usually my camera is a little warm, so I'll go to my custom settings and minus out some blue, or I'll add a little bit of blue maybe, or a little green, just to make sure the color is as balanced as possible.
Gotcha.
I don't shoot in RAW. I don't like RAW. It takes up too much memory.
Okay. Well, hey, wait. Is that your? This is a philosophy thing. I'm sure other people have opinions on this.
Oh yeah.
It's just you don't like RAW? Go on about that. What do you mean?
Oh, it hogs up tons of memory, and 99% of your customers don't need a massive file or TIFFs or any of that. They just need 4x6 or 5x7 or even magazine 8.5x11 size JPEG at 300 DPI. So
I gotcha.
And I do the color corrections in Photoshop, so I don't use the RAW function. I just do as much as I can in the camera, and then Photoshop the rest.
Gotcha. Rob, how do you feel about that?
well, hang on. I shot an event where I told the guy, I had a second photographer that I didn't know well. I told him, he goes, yeah, I shoot in RAW a lot and blah, blah. I go, well, just shoot this in medium resolution JPEG. It's just some candids at some party. We'll be shooting hundreds and thousands of them. He ended up shooting it all in RAW, and he gave me 4 DVDs with
That's why I was going to say I agree with them.
Of images, whereas all my images fit on one CD, which most of our customers, let's say they're a casino, they have the outdated equipment and
they can't play DVDs.
They can't even play DVDs.
And most of the time, they're extremely illiterate when it comes to anything with working with photos, so they flounder when they're too big because when you send them to like the printing press, they have to have them at a particular size and they need them that way. So if you're giving them these enormous images with all this information,
they can't even look at TIFFs.
They can't look at TIFFs. They flounder when they have to get them out to the print, and it just creates more of a headache on our end as well because we have to deal with it and do the emails back and forth. It's also a person that shoots a lot of images. I mean, a lot of images.
Right. Yeah, I'll shoot 100 to 150 an hour in an event, and then like these rooms, they take me about 30 to 45 minutes to shoot each room is all I'm spending.
Okay.
And there's usually, I mean, anywhere from 10 to 15 of shots of the same room. You know, so we have so much information. We were going RAW only.
Yeah, there's no point in it for us, so we don't need the resolution. So.
I gotcha.
Yeah, and I don't like working with the raw processing that comes with Adobe. It's just not me. So
Hey, to each his own. I just had this conversation with someone the other day about everyone seems to do things their own way, and everyone seems to think their way is superior. And I think my own way of thinking about it is let everyone do something different. It's better for everyone if we all have our own style and our own opinion about how we do it. It gives everyone just their own little footprint, you know.
Yeah, gives them their own edge.
Exactly. So
Here's a good tip to get right back to the image.
mhm.
Let's see. Let's see where the shower is, and there's like some. Well, it's actually a removable brass handle, but let's say that area where the tile was a little too bright, and I didn't have a dark image where I could steal a better tile image out of. Let's say it was too bright and blown out, and you don't have anything to work with. You can always use a paintbrush with a similar color, like a tan.
Yeah.
Then you use a multiply. When you're up in Photoshop, you can hit normal, multiply, screen, and all these different effects.
Right.
Use multiply and put it at like 15%. You can just brush in with a soft brush some color, so it'll get back to tan where there's like white where it shouldn't be white. You know?
Oh yeah. It's a really
Yeah,
good
I
tip.
use the brush tool a lot. Not a lot, but many times. Yeah, because if you burn something down or something like that, a lot of times it goes contrasty or the saturation goes nuts.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, there's a lot to it. You know, really, it's a bit of a curve.
No,
anyone can learn it.
You know, I think all the stuff you're talking about is an art form in itself, and I know that some people may not view it that way, but it takes so much technical knowledge, whether you learned it in school or you taught it to yourself, to be able to do all this sort of thing. But first off, recognize that it needs to be done, and then actually do it. So,
yeah, I highly recommend at the least people take a Photoshop class at the community college, a basic one or something.
All right.
Otherwise, I mean, you're just dumbfounded messing with. You got to just mess with it.
All right. All right. Let's hit up the last photo. Photo number 3. It's this kitchen.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty plain Jane.
All right.
But it was on a vacant house.
This is a vacant one.
Yeah, it's a house that they were renting. It was like a $2 million house, and 2 or 3, and they had rented it out. I don't know why. Anyways, they had just re-renovated it and painted it and made sure it was nice before I got there. But it was still just blank house, nothing in it.
Mm-hmm.
So it was pitch dark night when I shot it. So the windows are fake.
Even the tree back there. This is all just pasted in.
Yeah, that's the actual view. I went out. I shot through that window. I opened it up and shot a picture at dusk, and I used that image.
Okay.
Yeah, for both those windows. So I sampled because at dusk you only got minutes. So if you're outside shooting the outside at the real dusk, maybe you have a second photographer, or you got to come back another night and get the actual views for the interiors.
Mm-hmm.
Like we used to double team all this stuff with your uncle, my father-in-law.
Yeah.
Yeah, he used to shoot the interiors, so he would get all the window views at dusk, and then he'd light all the rooms, and it would pretty much be night, and he'd paste those in.
Ah.
It's the only way we could do 10 rooms in a night and have all the windows look with the actual views.
Some families start like a pizza shop. This family, Las Vegas Pics.
Yeah.
Photogs.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to say, and the views are very important here in Las Vegas because that's our ocean, the city view.
Yeah.
See the strip, so you always gotta present that in the houses. It's what the realtors really want as well.
Yeah, and this isn't necessarily a wonderful image for like a super stupendous kitchen shot, but it's an overall just like it's decently lit, fairly plainly lit.
Well, you do have obstacles with all the metal. Metal poses a problem.
Well, the angle,
lighting.
Yeah, the metal and the angle. See where can I hide lights to make interesting lighting? If I hit anything behind the stove on the left,
mm-hmm.
and see where that window with the palm tree is.
Yes, I do.
I can put lights down on the ground right there and shine back at these cabinets, and I'm sure they'd have wonderful light on them that would look interesting. But then there'd be a huge reflection on at least one, if not more, of those doors.
Okay.
So I actually lit them kind of with all the light coming from the right or from behind that stove cabinet, pointing the back half of those cabinets, pointing that way.
Okay.
See,
Okay.
it's shooting up too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because you can,
So
yeah, I see that shadow.
kind of
Off.
devil lighting. Yeah.
Yeah.
The horror lighting. Yeah. And then all the chrome stuff, we just selected out the areas with a like a 2 or 3 pixel selection with a polygon lasso and remove a lot of the hue saturation so it goes to like stainless look instead of yellowy.
Right, right, and that's another great tip. That's I have also used that one. It's like whitening someone's teeth, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
that same sort of concept where by taking out, you're actually adding to. Um, you know what I mean?
Yeah. And then the distortion, there's no real distortion, but I may have actually been up kind of high tipping down.
Hmm.
It's, and then it was converging at the top.
Yeah.
So I'll just distort it using the distort and, the grid. You can show grid in Photoshop.
Well, when you do the transform,
Yeah, when you transform, you want to have the grid up so you can see your lines.
Right, and you manually pull that out.
Yeah, the
yes.
first thing I'll do is rotate so anywhere in the center, some line in the center is straight up and down.
Hmm.
Then you distort. Because if you try distorting while the whole image is crooked,
Right,
it just doesn't. It'll might get ski jawed and look bad.
right.
And if you distort out from the top, let's say, then it's squinched looking, oompa loompa. So a lot of times you got to make the canvas a little bigger or stretch it vertically a little to pull it back to shape. So you got to use your eye,
Right.
and you can cheat rooms a little, make them look taller and wider. And that's what we do.
Great. That's fantastic stuff. I really appreciate you showing up. First off, Raw picking those photos out for us and showing them off. That I think your input on that is definitely going to be useful to. I'm just going to say at least one person out there, right?
Yeah, well,
hopefully.
you know what? Nobody screens into Windows. I've seen 1,000 photos here in all the magazines. Nobody does the screen. So that was our favorite technique. So whoever's listening to this, normally don't even talk about it.
Right.
Oh, we get a we
Same with
got
fireplaces. You can screen in a fire, like a stock shot you got.
and TVs. We do that as well
And
on
we do
TVs.
with the TVs, yeah.
Right. I remember seeing a golf shot on one of them, or the Fox searchlight sort of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You
we
can put
do
in
that.
DreamWorks or a movie, but
See, and that's the special little details that you can offer realtors too. Like when you have a vacant house like this, like a lot of these bigger houses have media rooms.
yeah.
So they usually don't have any decoration going on. It's just a big media room. So what we'll do is give them the black room, but also we'll Photoshop in movie posters on the walls. We'll put on a movie on the screen, and it all looks very authentic, especially when you learn the process of Photoshop. And I mean, it just tickles them, and they love it because, yeah, this is a media room.
Right.
We've actually taken like a $5 million house that wasn't quite finished, shot the media room, took previously shot media room photos and stole out like all the seating,
Okay.
pasted it in there. Same thing with the screen and the curtain, and rebuilt it for him to a point, and made it so it was a
Yeah,
nice
threw the popcorn
finished
thing
room,
in there and everything.
or just whatever, if they ask.
That's what they wanted, right? That's exactly what they wanted.
Yeah, because it was being built on a spec, so they needed to have a presentation, a model idea.
Gotcha.
They do state to their customers, well, this isn't what it is, but this is the concept of what it can be.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Didn't have carpet, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Because if you shoot I've had to shoot houses that the carpet was stripped out, and that's how they were selling it, with just bare concrete. And there's stains from the painters and stuff. So
Of course, it's concrete, right? Yeah.
I'll get rid of that and screen in a layer or multiply in a layer or whatever I can do in Photoshop to make the floor look better, or putting fake carpeting, the generic tan from another room shot that had a huge room or something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, above and beyond the Call of Duty for most of these people.
Well, that's actually, and what you're explaining is you're giving yourself an edge by going above and beyond, and I think it's really important to note that going above is important to do. It sets you apart.
Yes. Yeah.
Yep, I agree.
Yeah. Great. Well, all right. So, do you have any? No, I was going to say, do you have any last words? But I'm not going to do that. It sounds terrible.
Yes.
Well, oh yeah. Wait, I had another question for you. What else do you photograph? I already know the answer to this, but this is an open-ended question for listeners. Las Vegas pics. Are you just real estate architectural photography?
Nope.
No,
Nope.
well, we used to do mostly events and decorations in rooms because we live in Vegas. There's huge parties with like 2,000 people, and they'll spend $500,000 on a room decorations. So the decorator will have us go in there and shoot it
Uh-huh.
an hour or two. We did a lot of that, and then we would shoot events and handshakes and awards.
Yeah, for like New Year's, we have
Candids.
massive parties here, obviously. So, I mean, New Year's, we're hitting pretty much every casino, shooting all the parties.
Yep. But we did ended up starting last couple of years. The real estate was, of course, everyone knows it went up to a bubble.
Mm-hmm.
So that was the hot commodity, and we started losing all of our customers because we got out of contact with them with the events, which was kind of a mistake because in retrospect now, it's
The
real estate tanked.
and
And here we don't have any convention people that we're working with, and so now we're doing weddings and
we do weddings.
we
We've
do
done
green screen,
portraits.
outside
We do
printing.
product for catalog, product shots.
Yeah, we really don't do family photos or like model portraits and all
Okay.
that stuff. We stay away from it.
Okay.
Commercial stuff, like if somebody wants to advertise with some models, that's one thing. But just to shoot headshots, no way.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
Yeah.
too much of a pain for too little money.
And there's other people that are a lot better.
Yeah,
at
they're
it.
good at it. I don't particularly like shooting people except for like candids and events. That's fun, but
No, I agree. Shoot what you love, because if you're shooting something you don't, it'll show. And
Yes. Yeah.
yep. Yeah, you gotta have the energy.
Yep. Yep. Well, one last question. This will close it out. What advice would you give to anybody getting started in real estate photography?
Stay out of it for now.
Oh boy.
You better charge less than $100. The realtors are broke. No, you're probably gonna have to edit all that out. Oh, dude, it is the worst thing to get in. I used to tell everyone, get into photography. It's the greatest thing in the world. And now it would be really hard starting a photo business in this economy. Maybe in 2 years or next summer. I don't know when it'll turn
That's
around.
not true. I don't know. He's
Got to
he's-
diversify.
No, when we started in real estate, we worked for the Review Journal. You know how they put those magazines in front of the groceries?
At the
Right.
grocery stores, you got a ton
And
of
we
real
would
estate.
drive around town and we would get 30 listings and we'd go all over town shooting these houses and we'd get like $20 a house.
Yeah, that was the
So
first gig.
expect when you start, you have to get your foot in the door, and you're not gonna be a top end architect or shooter. You're not gonna be making top dollar. Spend the time to figure out what you're doing. And if you have to take gigs like that, take them and be happy about it, because they ultimately do lead into something else. Because from there we jumped into Metropolitan, which was a luxury living magazine, and that really sustained our business very well. We made a ton of good connections,
And we
but we
met a
never
million
would have
people
found
through
that
that.
if we didn't do the RJ gig.
Yeah, you just bite the bullet sometimes.
Ra, that is some sound advice. I really think that's very, very good advice. And Paul, your advice was, well, no.
A little down in the dumps there, buddy.
It was, wasn't it? No.
Yeah, I'm just saying this
Don't
much.
cry.
For someone to expect tons of money right now from builders and stuff, you can forget it.
You're saying be realistic.
Be realistic.
Yeah.
Be realistic, and understand that right now you're going to have to be flexible with your clientele, and you're probably going to have to do a lot more work for your money than
To
it
build your
was
name.
prior. But it is all a very solid investment, because once you do, you're going to build your name, you're going to hone your craft, and you're going to present something. I mean, these people need to move this property. They need to present it in the best light, and if you learn how to do that efficiently and really well, then you're going to come up on the top end of that stick when everything's laid out. But you can't expect anybody to give you incredible amounts if you're not to that par yet.
Right, right.
So spend the time to learn it. Take the gigs, even if they're kind of,
Get your foot in the door.
Get
Yep.
your foot in the door. Yeah.
Diversify. No.
Oh, and diversity in photography is good too, I think.
No, hey, I'm a big advocate of that as well.
Yeah.
Great. Well, Ra, Paul, thanks for talking to us on the Real Estate Photography Podcast. We appreciate your time.
Well,
Well,
thank
thank
you for
you.
having us.
All right. Well, have a good one, all right?
Yep. Good luck to everyone.
All right, bye.
Take care.